software rather than hardware, so that the ride can be changed rather swiftly, relative to the way normal rail rides, hardware rides are, changed. And I think this will give us a big advantage in being able to upgrade the ride after a certain period of time to improve it or change it or make it into something else. Oh yeah, I'm working on 4 or 5 other projects that will be coming out. Some of them Indiana Jones rides, some others intergalactic adventures.
This next segment will give you all the information you need concerning Star Tours. You see, it's a conversation with me. Yes, Otto, what is it? No, there aren't any interviews with navigator droids, so get back to work. Well, of course, I could give you all sorts of information, but I find that humans far too often pay no heed to my advice. They have this strange desire to find things out for themselves. I will say, however, that while your flight is intended to take you on a leisurely cruise to the moon of Endor, your pilot, Rex, is a little, well, fresh off the assembly line. Suffice it to say, he doesn't possess the expertise that Otto and I have. Therefore, it is possible you may encounter some of the difficulties we had on our flight, although, of course, I was never actually frightened. And I'm sure humans will find it great fun. Well, I have endured rather odd environments in the past, but I must say I find Disneyland most suitable for one of my sensibilities, and I look forward to continuing my services here for many years. Of course, I have already a good deal of experience in providing vital assistance to humans, so with all due modesty, I don't think they could have chosen a better droid for the job. And of course, I'll be working alongside R2-D2 once more, and while he can sometimes be a little irritating, I must admit we make a splendid team. Hello, I know you're going to ask me all about Star Tours, and there's so much to say. Well, first, you must make your way to the spaceport, where there's lots of exciting activity. I myself am usually there, supervising R2 on maintenance. He is also the navigator of your craft. Then, after passing the droid repair shop, you enter the departure area, where you will board your Star Speeder, destination Endor. And don't forget to fasten your safety belt. I've met the pilot, Rex. But look, the best thing is for you to come to Disneyland and see for yourself. Now, please excuse me, I do have to go. I left R2 by himself, and you know what that could lead to. So I must say goodbye. Goodbye. You would think that with all my expertise, I might have attained more airtime. Oh well. Next is an interview with Warren Franklin of Industrial Light and Magic, who turned fantasy into reality. ILM has joined forces with Disneyland to bring you Star Tours.
Star Tours gave us an opportunity to do a totally different kind of project, which was great, and everybody was very enthusiastic at a chance to do a non-stop 4-minute effects film, basically, with no actors, nobody changing things all the time, and it was really, I think, something that got a lot of enthusiasm from the crew here, and they've worked on a lot of big films, so it was quite quite amazing the extent of which people became involved with a Star Tours film. Well, I think we've spent almost a year and a half working on this particular film, and it's since it is all an special effects, 4.5 minutes of it, it's pretty much equivalent of doing a major project like a Star Trek film or a Raiders of the Lost Ark or Star Wars even.
Another member of ILM is Dennis Muren, an Academy Award-winning visual effects director.
I guess I was sort of the effects supervisor, co-director of the work here. We were really working underneath George, and with input, of course, from the Disney Imagineers, Tony Baxter and Tom Fitzgerald, on it. And it was sort of figuring out how we were going to make this the film that is projected for the Star Tours ride. And essentially, what the ride is supposed to be is you're with 40 other people sitting in a sort of a little spaceship that's flying off to Endor, the planet Endor, and you're looking out a front window. And so what you're seeing out the front window is all a movie film, but it's not supposed to look like it. And because it's about a 3.5 or 4 minute space trip, we had to shoot a film that was 3.5 or 4 minutes long without any cuts in it, which was a very difficult thing for us to do, and it was a lot of figuring out how we could come up with 3.5 or 4 minutes of film without a cut. Yeah, I get wrapped up in it. It brings back first the excitement of being in Disneyland just ups you, and so you're ready for something. And then when you go in there, you're sort of like up also, because it's something that you quite haven't seen at Disneyland before. And then when you get into the Star Wars type of stuff, it brings back all the memories from those films. So it really puts you in in a lot of different worlds in a short time, and it really all works. We're real happy with it.
Oh, welcome back. You know, every droid has a programmer who is dear to his memory bank. Mine is our next guest, Dave Felten, a Disneyland computer programmer.
Well, the footage that Anthony Daniels did for me was an extreme help. First of all, this is a character that everyone knows. And everyone already knows what he looks like, how he acts, how he moves. So it's very important that I capture that same believability. And the best way to do it was get the help from Anthony Daniels. And with his help in my animation, we brought C-3PO to life again. Well, C-3PO is actually probably the longest running animated figure we've ever done, or is. Compared to a Pirate, which is about 90 feet of animation, or a Mr. Lincoln, which is 400 feet, C-3PO is actually 900 feet of animation, with 22 moves in all inside of them.
The next interview is with another Disney mastermind, Tony Baxter. He is in charge of designing Disneyland shows.
Well, obviously, the first thing that we wanted to do with George was bring about this marriage of Disneyland with the marriage of his product. And Star Tours evolved from the first presentation that we gave to George of a possible ride, and it was a little bit more complicated. You could go every which way and choose your direction. And George said, well, that's great, but what can we do immediately? What can we do to get something going right now? And so we looked around and we found this fantastic device that was in work in the Air Force and in the government to simulate excursions into space, and we thought it was a natural. Here we have the space of fantasy that George had created and combined it with real-world technology that was ready to go, and this will be the first time the general public has actually gotten to experience something like this, so we're real excited about it. Oh, absolutely. Anything this big you can't do all at once. So we wanted to get going as quickly as we could, as I mentioned. So Captain EO started us off on the right foot. Star Tours is going to continue it, and within the next few years, I think you'll see an entirely new look here at Disneyland in Tomorrowland.
And now our final segment on the Star Tours News Kit, a chat with Tom Fitzgerald, the Star Tours show designer himself.
Well, Star Tours is really a continuation of the Star Wars saga, and the time frame is just after Return of the Jedi, so that the galaxy is now safe enough that tour companies have begun to open up shop throughout the universe, and Star Tours is one of those companies. And when you enter the attraction, you go into what we call the maintenance hangar. And here you're going to find your old friends R2-D2 and 3PO, who now have new jobs, new masters, and they're working for Star Tours. R2 is in what we call the Star Speeder 3000, which is a full-size transport that will take you on your journey. And he's doing some welding. And 3PO is doing the ever-popular backseat driving, telling R2 exactly why he's doing everything wrong and getting themselves in all sorts of mix-ups and so forth. You'll also, in this area, see some travel logs from Star Tours saying, you know, coming up service to Hoth and Dagobah and Tatooine, but saying that now they have non-stop service to Endor, and that's where we're going today. But before we get there, we pass through what's called the Droidnostic Center. And here, Star Tours is so proud of the care and precision with which their pilots are assembled that instead of hiding it off back, where we usually have maintenance operations, they put it on display. And they have what we call our G2 droids, who are repairing navigators and getting them ready for your flight. But unfortunately, the G2 droids are kind of goof-offs. And the little one, the laborer droid who's welding, or supposed to be welding, gets very distracted by the guests and starts asking them how to fix the droids and where they're going, and hasn't he seen them before. And the other droid is sort of monitoring the activities of the room. From there, we enter the loading concourse, and you're sent to one of 4 gates to board the Star Speeder. And then you're off on your adventure with your rookie pilot, Rex. Well, when you board the Star Speeder, it will have a lot of the sensations of, recall a lot of the sensations of boarding a jetliner, except now you're boarding a space liner. And once you have fastened your seatbelts and stowed your luggage away and taking care of all that business, you're off on your adventure, and you meet your pilot, RX-24, Rex for short. And this may be your first flight, but it also happens to be Rex's first flight. And that's part of the fun of the journey, is that you and Rex may never quite make it to Endor, but you're going to have a wonderful, wild adventure in a galaxy far, far away.
Well, that concludes our news kit on Disneyland's newest form of space travel, Star Tours. I found it most informative. I'm sure you did too. But nothing can match the thrill of actually taking one of our flights. So Artu and I hope to see you here at Disneyland very soon. Until then, goodbye, and may the Force be with you.